We were tricked, I said. Set up. Yes, but why? Annabeth asked. And the voice in the pit. I don't know yet, I said, but I intend to ask. Decide, boy,
No.
Hades yelled. Percy, Grover put his hand on my shoulder. You can't give him the bolt. I know that. Leave me here, he said. Use the third pearl on your mom. No!
I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I'm finished with the book. Man, Grover better not stay. I'm gonna cry so hard. I'm going to cry so hard.
I'm a satyr, Grover said. I have souls like humans do. He can torture me until I die, but he won't get me forever. I'll just be reincarnated as a flower or something. It's the best way.
I mean,
No. Annabeth drew her bronze knife. You two go on. Grover, you have to protect Percy.
Yeah.
You have to get your searcher's license and start your quest for Pan.
Yes.
Get his mom out of here. I'll cover you. I plan to go down fighting. No way, Grover said. I'm staying behind.
No.
Again, goat boy.
No, you're not staying behind.
Stop it. Both of you.
Yeah.
I felt like my heart was being ripped in two.
Stop it.
They both were with me through so much. I remember Grover dive bombing Medusa in the statue garden, and Annabeth saving us from Cerberus. We'd survived Hephaestus' Waterland ride, the St. Louis Arch, the Lotus Casino. I spent thousands of miles worried that I'd be betrayed by a friend. But these friends would never do that. They'd done nothing but save me over and over. And now they wanted to sacrifice their lives for my mom.
I mean,
I said, take these.
No.
I handed them each.
No.
Annabeth said, but Percy. I turned and faced my mother. I desperately wanted to sacrifice myself and use the last pearl on her. But I knew what she would say. She would never allow it.
Yeah.
I had to get the bolt back to Olympus and tell her the truth. I had to stop the war. She would never forgive me if I saved her instead. I thought about the prophecy made at Half-Blood Hill, what seemed like 1,000,000 years ago.
You will fail to say what matters most in the end.
I'm sorry, I told her. I'll be back. I'll find a way.
Yeah. Go.
The smug look on Hades' face faded. He said, Godling.
Go.
I'll find your helm, Uncle. I'll return it. Remember about Karen's pay raise. Do not defy me. And it wouldn't hurt to play with Cerberus once in a while. He likes red rubber balls. Percy Jackson, you will not. I shouted, now, guys. I shouted.
Love it.
For a scary moment, nothing happened. Hades yelled, destroy them!
No.
An army of skeletons rushed forward, swords out, guns clicking to full automatic.
No.
Furies lunged, their whips bursting into flame. Just as the skeletons opened fire, the pearl fragments at my feet exploded with a burst of green light and a gust of fresh sea wind.
No.
I was encased in a milky white sphere, which was starting to float off the ground.
Huh?
Annabeth and Grover were right behind me. Spears and bullets sparked harmlessly off the pearl bubbles as we floated up. Hades yelled with such rage the entire fortress shook, and I knew it was not going to be a peaceful night.
Where are we?
Look up! We're going to crash!
What?
Sure enough, we were racing right toward the stalactites, which I figured would pop our bubbles and skewer us. How do you control these things? Annabeth shouted. I don't think you do! I shouted back. We screamed as the bubbles slammed into the ceiling. And darkness. Were we dead?
Oh, no.
No. I could still feel the racing sensation. We were going up right through solid rock as easily as an air bubble in water. That was the power of the pearls, I realized. What belongs to the sea will always return to the sea. For a few moments, I couldn't see anything outside the smooth walls of my sphere. Then my pearl broke
Spear!
the floor. The other two milky spheres, Annabeth and Grover, kept pace with me as we soared upward through the water. And then, kerblam!
Kerblam!
We exploded on the surface, in the middle of the Santa Monica Bay, knocking a surfer off his board with an indignant, dude! I grabbed Grover and hauled him over to a lifeboat. I caught Annabeth and dragged her over too. A curious shark was circling us, a great white about 11 feet long. I said, beat it! The shark turned and raced away. The surfer screamed something about bad mushrooms and paddled away from us as fast as he could.
What?
Somehow I knew what time it was. Early morning, June 21st, the day of the summer solstice.
Oh no.
In the distance, Los Angeles was on fire.
What?
Plumes of smoke rising from the neighborhoods all over the city. There'd been an earthquake, all right, and it was Hades' fault. He was probably sending an army of the dead right after me.
Oh,
But at that moment, the underworld wasn't my biggest problem.
yeah.
I had to get to shore. I had to get Zeus's
With,
thunderbolt
where
back to
are you? Are
Olympus.
you in the water?
And most of all, I had to have a serious conversation with the god who tricked me.
Yeah. Yeah, hi.
Chapter 20. I battle my jerk relative. A
Sure.
Coast Guard boat picked us up, but they were too busy to keep us for long, or to wonder how 3 kids in street clothes had gotten out into the middle of the bay. There was a disaster to mop up. Their radios were jammed with distress calls. They dropped us off at the Santa Monica Pier with towels around our shoulders and water bottles that said, "I'm a junior Coast Guard," and sped off to save more people. Our clothes were sopping wet, even mine. When the Coast Guard boat had appeared, I'd suddenly prayed they wouldn't pick me up out of the water and find me perfectly dry, which might have raised some eyebrows. So I'd willed myself to get soaked. And sure enough, my usual waterproof magic had abandoned me. I was also barefoot because I'd given my shoes to Grover. Maybe the Coast Guard wonder why one of us was barefoot and wonder why one of us had hooves. After reaching dry land, we stumbled down the beach, watching a city.
I can't sing today. I have my vocal lessons tomorrow, so I can't. Sorry. I would, but I can't. So.
Burn against a beautiful sunrise. I felt as if I'd just come back from the dead, which I had. My backpack was heavy with Zeus's master bolt. My heart was even heavier from seeing my mother. "I don't believe it," Annabeth said. "We went all that way." "It was a trick," I said. "A strategy worthy of Athena." "Hey," she whispered. "You get it, don't you?" She dropped her eyes, her anger fading. "Yeah, I get it." "Well, I don't," Grover complained. "Would somebody—" "Percy," Annabeth said. I'm sorry about your mother. I'm so sorry." I pretended not to hear her. If I talked about my mother, I was going to start crying like a little kid. "The prophecy was right," I said. "You shall go west and face the god who has turned." But it wasn't Hades. Hades didn't
Ares!
anymore among the big three. Someone else pulled up.
Ares!
Someone stole Zeus's master bolt and Hades' helm and framed me because I'm Poseidon's kid. Poseidon will get blamed by both sides. And by sundown today, there will be a three-way war, and I'll have caused it. Grover shook his head, mystified. But who would be that sneaky? Who would want the war that bad? I stopped in my tracks, looking down the beach. "Gee, let me think." There he was, waiting for us.
Yep.
In his black leather duster and his sunglasses, an aluminum baseball bat propped on his shoulder. His motorcycle rumbled beside him, its headlight turning the sand red.
Ares.
"Hey, kid," Ares said, seeming genuinely pleased to see me. "You were supposed to die." "You tricked me," I said. "You stole the helm and the master bolt." Ares grinned. "Well, now, I didn't steal them personally. Gods taking each other's symbols of power. That's a big no-no. But you're not the only hero in the world who can run errands." "Who did you use? Clarice? She was there at the winter solstice." The idea seemed to amuse him. "Doesn't matter. The point is, kid, you're impeding the war effort. See, you've got to die in the underworld. Then old Seaweed Brain will be mad at Hades for killing you. Corpse Breath will have Zeus's master bolt, so Zeus will be mad at him. And Hades is still looking for this." From his pocket, he took out a ski cap, the kind bank robbers wear, and placed it between the handlebars of his bike. Immediately, the cap transformed into an elaborate bronze war helmet. "The Helm of Darkness," Grover gasped. "Exactly," Ares said. "Now where was I? Oh yeah, Hades will be mad at both Zeus and Poseidon, because he doesn't know who took this. Pretty soon we got a nice little three-way slugfest going." "But they're your family," Annabeth protested. Ares shrugged. "Best kind of war. Always the bloodiest. Nothing like watching your relatives fight, I always say." "You gave me the backpack in Denver," I said. "The master bolt was in there the whole time." "Yes and no," Ares said. "It's probably too complicated for your little mortal brain to follow. But the backpack is the master bolt's sheath, just morphed a bit. The bolt is connected to it. Sort of like that sword you got, kid. It always returns to your pocket, right?" I wasn't sure how Ares knew about that, but I guess a god of war had to make it his business to know about weapons.
Yeah.
"Anyway," Ares continued, "I tinkered with the magic of it, so the bolt would only return to the sheath once you reach the underworld. You get close to Hades, bingo, you got nailed. If you died along the way, no loss. I still had the weapon." "But why not just keep the master bolt for yourself?" I said. "Why send it to Hades?" Ares got a twitch in his jaw. For a moment, it was almost like he were listening to another voice deep inside his head. "Why didn't I? Yeah, with that kind of firepower." He held the trance for 1 second, 2 seconds. I exchanged nervous looks with Annabelle. Erin's face. Well, I didn't want the trouble. Better to have you caught red-handed holding the. You're lying, I said. Setting the bolt to the underworld wasn't your idea, was it? Of course it was. Smoke drifted up from the sunglasses as if they were about to catch fire. You didn't order the theft, I guessed. Someone else sent a hero to steal the 2 items. Then, when Zeus sent you to hunt him down, you caught the thief. But you didn't turn him over to Zeus. Something convinced you to let him go. You kept the items until another hero could come along and complete the delivery. That thing in the pit is ordering you around. I am the god of war. I take orders from no one. I don't have dreams. I hesitated.
Yeah.
Who said anything about dreams? Ares looked agitated, but he tried to cover it with a smirk. Get back to the problem at hand, kid. You're alive. I can't have you taking that boat to Olympus. You just might get those hard-headed idiots to listen to you. So I've got to kill you. Nothing personal. He snapped his fingers. The sand exploded at his feet and out charged a wild boar, even larger and uglier than the one whose head hung above the door of Cabin 7 at Camp Half-Blood. The beast pawed the sand, glaring at his evil eyes as it lowered its razor-sharp tusks and waited for the command to kill him. I stepped into the surf. Fight me yourself, Ares. He laughed, but I heard a little edge to his laughter, an uneasiness. You only got talent, kid. Running away. You ran away from the Chimera. You ran from the underworld. You don't have what it takes. Scared? In your adolescent dreams. His sunglasses were starting to melt from the heat of his eyes. No direct involvement. Sorry, kid. You're not at my level. Annabeth said, Percy, run! The giant boar charged. But I was done running from Montez, or Hades,
Yeah.
or Ares, or anybody. The boar rushed at me, uncapped my pen and sidestepped. Riptide appeared.
Hey, wait.
I slashed upward.
Wait. Give me like a second, dude. Jeez. It charged my phone. Okay. There we go. Oh my gosh. Okay. That's not gonna work, is it? Okay.
The boar's severed right tusk fell at my feet, while the disoriented animal charged into the sea. I shouted, Wait! Immediately, waves surged out of nowhere and engulfed the boar, wrapping around it like a blanket. The beast squealed once in terror, and it was gone, swallowed by the sea. I turned back to Ares. Are you gonna fight me now? I asked. Or are you gonna hide behind another pet pig? Ares' face was purple with rage. Watch it, kid. I could turn you into a cockroach, I said. Or a tapeworm. Yeah, I'm sure. That'd save you from getting your godly hide whipped, wouldn't it? Flames danced along the top of his glasses. Oh man, you really are asking to be smashed into a grease spot. If I lose, turn me into anything you want. Take the bolt. If I win, the helm and the bolt are mine, and you have to go away. Ares sneered. He swung the baseball bat off his shoulder. How would you like to get smashed? Classic or modern? I showed him my sword. That's cool, dead boy, he said. Classic it is. The baseball bat changed into a huge, two-handed sword. The hilt was a large silver skull with a ruby in its mouth. Percy, Annabeth said. Don't do this. He's a god. He's a coward, I told her. She swallowed. Where'd this happen?
Percy Jackson.
She took off her necklace, with her 5 years' worth of camp beads and the ring from her father, and tied it around my neck. Reconciliation, she said. Athena and Poseidon together. My face felt a little warm, but I managed to smile. Thanks. And take this, Grover said. He handed me a flattened tin can that he'd probably been saving in his pocket for 1,000 miles. The saviors stand behind you. Grover. I don't know what to say. He patted me on the shoulder. I stuffed the tin can in my back pocket. You all done saying goodbye? Ares came toward me, his black leather duster trailing behind him, his sword glinting like fire in the sunrise. I've been fighting for eternity, kid. My strength is unlimited, and I cannot die. What have you got? A smaller ego, I thought, but I said nothing. I kept my feet in the surf, backing into the water up to my ankles. I thought back to what Annabeth had said at the Denver diner so long ago. Ares has strength. That's all he has. Even strength has to bow to wisdom sometimes. He cleaved downward at my head, but I wasn't there. My body thought for me. The water seemed to push me in the air, and I catapulted over him, slashing as I came down. But Ares was just as quick. He twisted, and a strike that should have caught him directly in the spine was deflected off the end of his sword hilt. He grinned. Not bad. Not bad. He slashed again, and I was forced to jump onto dry land. I tried to sidestep to get back into the water, but Ares seemed to know what I wanted. He outmaneuvered me, pressing so hard I had to put all my concentration on not getting sliced into pieces. I kept backing away from the serpent. I couldn't find any openings to attack. His sword had a reach several feet longer than Anapusmos. Get in close, Luca told me once, back in our sword class. When you've got the shorter blade, get in close. I stepped inside with a thrust, but Ares was waiting for that. He knocked my blade out of my hands and kicked me in the chest. I went airborne, 20, maybe 30 feet. I would have broken my back if I hadn't crashed into the soft sand of a dune. Percy! Annabeth yelled. Cops!
Wish.
I was seeing double. My chest felt like it had just been hit with a battering ram, but I managed to get to my feet. I couldn't look away from Ares for fear he'd slice me in half, but out of the corner of my eye I saw red lights flashing on the shoreline boulevard. Car doors were slamming. There, officer! Somebody yelled. See ya? A gruff cop voice. Looks like that kid on TV. What the
Oh
heck?
no.
That guy's armed, another cop said. Call for backup. I rolled onto one side as Ares' blade slashed the sand. I ran for my sword, scooped it up, and launched a swipe at Ares' face, only to find my blade deflected again. Ares seemed to know exactly what I was going to do the moment before I did it. I stepped back toward the surf, forcing him to follow. Admit it, kid, Ares said. You got no hope. I'm just toying with you. My senses
Shut
were
up.
working overtime. I now understood what Annabeth had said about ADHD
Hello.
keeping you alive in battle.
If you want.
I was wide awake, noticing every little detail. I could see where Ares was tensing. I could tell which way he would strike. At the same time, I was aware of Annabeth and Grover 30 feet to my left. I saw a second cop car pulling up, siren wailing. Spectators, people who had been wandering the streets because of the earthquake, were starting to gather. Among the crowd, I thought I saw a few who were walking with a strange, trotting gait of disguised satyrs. There were shimmering forms of spirits, too, as if the dead had risen from Hades to watch the battle. I heard the flap of leathery wings circling somewhere above. More sirens. I stepped farther into the water, but Ares was fast. The tip of his blade ripped my sleeve and grazed my forearms. A police voice on a megaphone said, "Drop the guns! Set them on the ground, now!" Guns? I looked at Ares' weapon, and it seemed to be flickering. Sometimes it looked like a shotgun, sometimes a two-handed sword. I didn't know what the humans were seeing in my hands, but I was pretty sure it wouldn't make them like me. Ares turned to glare at our spectators, which gave me a moment to breathe. There were 5 police cars now, and a line of officers crouching behind them, pistols trained on us. "This is a private matter," Ares bellowed. "Be gone!"
Be
He swung his hand,
gone.
and a wall of red flame rolled across the patrol cars. The police barely had time to dive for cover before the vehicles exploded. The crowd behind them scattered, screaming. Ares roared with laughter. "Now, little hero, let's add you to the barbecue."
No thanks.
He slashed. I deflected his blade. I got close enough to strike, tried to fake him out with a feint, but my blow was knocked aside. The waves were hitting me in the back now. Ares was up to his thighs, wading in after me. I felt the rhythm of the sea, the waves growing larger as the tide rolled in, and suddenly I had an idea. Little waves, I thought, and the water behind me seemed to recede. I was holding back the tide by force of will, but tension was building, like carbonation behind a cork. Ares came toward me very confidently. I lowered my blade as if I were too exhausted to go on. "Wait for it," I told the sea. The pressure now was almost lifting me off my feet. Ares raised his sword. I released the tide and jumped, rocketing straight over Ares on a wave. A 6-foot wall of water smashed him full in the face, leaving him cursing and sputtering with a mouthful of seaweed.
Oh
I
no.
landed behind him with a splash and feinted toward his head, as I had done before. He turned in time to raise his sword, but this time he was disoriented. He didn't anticipate the trick. I changed direction, lunged to the side, and stabbed the riptide straight down into the water, sending a point through the god's heel. The roar that followed made Hades' earthquake look like a minor
Percy
event.
Jackson.
The very sea was blasted back from Ares, leaving a white circle of sand 50 feet wide. Ichor, the golden blood of the gods, flowed from a gash in the war god's boot. The expression on his face was beyond hatred. It was pain, shock, complete disbelief that he'd been wounded. He limped toward me, muttering ancient Greek curses. Something stopped him. It was as if a cloud covered the sun, but worse. Light faded, sound and color drained away. A cold, heavy presence passed over the beach, slowing time, dropping the temperature to freezing, and making me feel like life was hopeless. Fighting was useless. The darkness lifted. Ares looked stunned. Police Police cars were burning behind us. The crowd of spectators had fled. Annabeth and Grover stood on the beach in shock, watching the water flood back around Erin's feet. His glowing golden
you.
ichor